here we go. So what we turned into our part B of 8.6 starts here at example 3. It says solve for the variable using either method that we learned yesterday. Okay? So what method are you going to use right here? Cross multiply. So, oh, psych. There's a better way.
Yeah, they have the same denominator. I want to subtract one of them.
Don't subtract.
It's equal to.
Right. Here's the deal. Okay, you could cross multiply and there would be a quadratic and you would factor and all the things. But look at this. X minus 2 and x minus 2. Now think about a fraction. If they have the same denominator and they are set equal, what is true of their numerators? They need to be equal, right? If I have 1/2 over here and a 2 over here, this has to be a 1 to set them equal, right? So these have to be equal. So all you have to do here is 4 equals x minus 1. Add 1, 5 is your x value. I would do that. You didn't have to. You could cross multiply, but then you have to FOIL, and then you have to factor, and then you have an extraneous that gets thrown into the mix that doesn't work. I would just do this. Okay?
Yeah, that's too much for me.
What?
You just cancel out the x minus stop.
You don't cancel it out, but because the denominators are the same, for these to truly be equal, the numerators have to be the same too. So you're just saying 4 has to equal x minus 1 if my denominators are both going to be x minus 2. Yeah.
Can you leave out the just a
Yes. Don't write this down. This was just me referencing why. All right. Letter B. This is your setup. What do you have to do?
Common denominator.
Oh, no.
You don't have to get a common denominator, but you need to find the least common denominator. Yes. So what is your least common denominator? It's 6. Okay. So we're going to multiply everything by 6, but don't distribute. Okay. We're not going to distribute this right away. You'll see why in just a second. 6 times 2x plus 1 over 6 plus 6 times x over 2 equals 6 times x minus 1 over 3. Okay, there's so much that you can reduce here. You want to reduce it first, and then if there's distributing to be done, then distribute. Okay, this simplifies life a lot, I promise. So 6 over 6 is going to leave us just with 2x plus 1 plus 6 over 2 is 3x equals 6 over 3 is 2. So I'm going to distribute that right now. That becomes 2x minus 2. And now it's basic algebra. So 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 1 equals 2x minus 2. Take away the 2x and take away the 1. So you get 3x equals negative 3. So x is negative 1.
So you guys are excited about this?
I am. I love it. Good on that? Okay. Back up to letter C here. What do you suppose you have to do here first?
Multiply.
You got to find the least common denominator. Before you look for it, what should you do first? I would factor first, right? Instead of calling this n squared plus n, factor out an n. And it'll look like that. What's your least common denominator? Not n plus 1. N times n plus 1, right? This is your least common denominator. So we're going to take this whole thing and we're going to multiply it by n times n plus 1. And again, I would not distribute yet, okay? Distribute at the end, that's fine. For now, just leave it how you see it. So 2 times n plus 1 over n, Okay, so that's this. Now go to the second one. N times n plus 1 times n plus 2 over n plus 1 equals, now take it to the -2. -2 times n plus 1 over n times n plus 1. Do you see why we don't distribute yet? It's so easy to slash things away right now. N over n would leave us with 2n. Now I'm going to distribute, okay? 2n plus 2 plus n plus 1 with n plus 1 is 1. So we're left with n squared plus 2n equals n divided by n is 1. N plus 1 divided by n plus 1 is 1. So you have a -2 there. So now if we simplify this, we have n squared. 2n plus 2n is plus 4n. If I take this 2 and add it to the other side, it's plus 4. And now I have 0 on the other side. What do you do with that? Factor it, right? Star method if you need to. What can you multiply to get 4 that you can add to get 4? 2 and 2. So it's n plus 2 times n plus 2 equals 0. What is n? -2. And you just need it the one time, right? Because these are both the same. What?
And you put n plus 2 in parentheses squared.
No, because I want to know what n is, right? We want to solve completely. So I need to know n equals what value? Yeah. Okay. All right, letter D, and then we'll move on to the word problems. What do you do first here? Factor, right? You see the difference of squares? What does that become?
Plus 3 and -3.
X plus 3, x minus 3. So this is gone. Okay. What is your least common denominator?
Plus 3 times x minus 3.
X plus 3 times x minus 3. And we're going to multiply that by everything. Okay. So this is going to be x times x plus 3 times x minus 3 over x minus 3. That's our first one. Plus, now go here, same thing, x times x plus 3 times x minus 3. That one's over x plus 3. And then your last one, again, don't distribute. This one times the 2, so 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 3 over x plus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so we can start to slash. X minus 3 over x minus 3 leaves us with x squared plus 3x. X plus 3 and x plus 3 leaves us with x squared minus 3x. Equals, now x plus 3 slashes away, x minus 3 slashes away, so we just have a 2 there. Look what happens to our 3 x's. A positive and a negative, that's 0. So you have x squared plus x squared, or 2x squared, equals 2. So if we solve for x squared, we're going to divide by 2. So x squared equals 1. What's your answer? Plus or minus. Don't forget the plus or minus when you square root. X equals plus or minus 1. Okay. Any of these could be extraneous, technically. Okay. If we had worked this one out the factoring way, you would have seen that. How do you tell if something's extraneous? You plug it back in. If it makes a true statement, not extraneous. If it makes a false statement, that's an extraneous answer, right? Okay. Okay. the word problems. Here we go. Yay! They look terrible. They're really not bad at all. Just a lot of words. Don't let them freak you out. Okay, so no, they're really not bad. I'm going to show you a beautiful way to set them up. Okay, so this first example is really just showing you the process of how you get going setting them up, and then we'll actually set it up and solve it. So it says, if it takes Caden 3 hours to do a job, what part of the job could he do in 1 hour?
Why?
If it takes him 3 hours, what fraction of the job can he do in 1 hour?
1/3.
1/3, right? 1 of the 3 hours. So 1 hour would be 1/3. So X hours, what's that going to be?
X divided by 3.
X over 3. Okay. If it takes Andrew 4 hours to do a job, what part can he do in 1 hour? 1/4. So what part can he do in X hours? X over 4. Okay, so here's the question. If they both work on the same job, how long will it take working together?
Sorry.
Here's what you do.
2x.
X squared.
You take
12.
their unknown amount, right? X over 3 plus X over 4,
Dang it.
and you set that equal to a complete job. What is a number of completion in math? 100% of the job, the number 1, okay? Here's how you figure this out, just if that setup doesn't make a lot of sense to you. You have Caden, you have Andrew. We know separately what they can do. We'll just say separate. And then together, what they can do, okay? Separately, Caden would take 3 hours, Andrew would take 4. Together, we don't know. That's what we're trying to solve for, okay? The way you set this up is together over separate. So X over 3 and X over 4 will be your two ratios, right? X over 3, X over 4, and then it equals 1 full job. Okay, so that's how you're going to come up with your setup each time. How do you solve that? This should be the easy part. We know how to solve this.
You do the other method we learned.
Cross multiply.
Not cross multiply.
The other method.
The other one where you put the number over the 1.
LCD, right? You
Yeah.
find the least common denominator. What is the least common denominator here? It's 12. So if I multiply this by 12, just your numerators, 12x over 3 plus 12x over 4 equals 12. Okay? That becomes, sorry, I didn't leave a lot of space here, 4x plus 3x equals 12. So 7x equals 12, and then you divide by 7. So x is 12/7 or 1.7 what? Hours. That's how long it will take if they do it together. So what the one can get done in 4 hours and the other can get done in 3 hours, if they work together, they're done in 1.7. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
We're distracted.
Well,
You're wrong.
if you're actually working, it makes the dream work. Okay, 2 more problems. Example number 2. Pardon all the words. A father and a daughter painted a bedroom in 6 hours. Dad said he would have taken 8 hours working alone. He's a painter. Cameron wondered, how long would it take me to paint the room, by myself? The father reminded her that he paid a lot of tuition to send her to Valley, and having taken Algebra 2, she should be able to work that out. Dad, that was last year. But he encouraged her to write down the information and set up an equation. She did and had her answer in no time. Can you figure out her answer?
Yes, the answer is yes. The
Yes.
answer to that problem is yes.
Right.
That's
Okay.
the correct answer.
Correct.
Yay.
We're actually going to figure it out, though. So here are your people. There's a dad. There's Cameron. Okay? We're going to do, they're separate
Oh my gosh. There's a bug in my throat.
and they're together. Okay? So separately, what is dad's number? 8 hours. What's Cameron's?
Don't know.
We don't know. That's our variable, right? That's what we're trying to find. What's their together number? 6. Okay? So remember the setup. Together over separate and together over separate. So what are your two ratios?
6 over 8.
6 over 8 plus,
8 over 6.
no,
X.
together over separate. So 6 over 8, 6 over x equals what? One complete job. It's always one, you guys. It's always a complete job. So we're trying to solve this for x. What do you do? Don't cross multiply. You cannot cross multiply when there's a plus.
Find the LC, least common LCF.
Denominator. It's a D. What is your least common denominator?
8x.
8x. Good. So distribute that 8x.
That is the most common.
It's the smallest denominator you can do for those two numbers. It's the least, the smallest. Okay, so this is 48x over 8 plus 48x over x equals 8x. Okay, now simplify. 48 over 8 is 6 times x. X over x leaves you with 48
6x.
equals 8x. Take away the 6x. So 2x equals 48. X is 24. 24 what? 24 hours. Can you imagine? It takes her 24 hours to paint the room by herself, what her dad can do in 8.
He's a professional.
Why
He's a
would he do that
professional.
to her?
Well, he wouldn't. She just wondered. He's not making her do it.
Okay, good.
Okay,
He encouraged her.
last
Why would
one.
he pay for it to get done?
Encouraged her with
if you
violence.
can just do it yourself?
He did it himself.
Yeah, good.
He didn't pay for it.
Yeah, that's bad for the
I don't know.
Good for the heart.
Okay, last one. Stay with me. That was probably really loud in the recording. Sorry for the clapping.
My room is a rainbow.
Stick with me. You can do this. Example 3 here. Okay? There are 3 printers. Printer A is the old one. It can print the payroll in 12 hours. Printer B is a better upgrade that can print the payroll in 8 hours. Printer C is brand new and can print the payroll in 6 hours.
I would use
Okay.
printer C.
Yep. At 9 a.m., just before the payroll was about to be printed, the power went out for 3 hours. Bummer. When the power came back on, the boss turned to you and said, if we connect all 3 printers to the computer, will the payroll get done by 3 o'clock?
Yes.
While the tech guys are making the connections, you figure it out.
That's not possible.
You're not wasting an hour. So, how long did the payroll job take? And will it be done on time?
That's not possible.
Okay.
3 printers, right? Printer A, printer B, printer C. Separate and together.
We should make it.
Separately, what is A? 12,
12.
right? That's okay, let's try that again. So separately, A is 12, B is what? 8.
A.
Hold on. C is 6, okay? Together is what we're trying to figure out. X. Okay?
Oh shoot.
So,
Well, what if we add them all together?
yeah, well, yes, as ratios. What ratio? What over what?
Oh, divide by 3.
X.
Together
Add them all together.
over separate. X over 12 plus X over 8 plus X over 6 equals what? A complete job. Okay? What do you do?
Least common denominator is 24, I think.
Least common denominator, which is 24. Okay? So take that 24 to everything. Don't forget about the 1. I forget about the 1 a lot. 24x over 12 plus 24x over 8 plus 24x over 6 equals, see, I just did it again, equals 24. Okay? Now we simplify. That's 2x. That's 3x. That's 4x equals 24. So 5 plus 4 or 9x equals 24. Divide by 9. X comes out to 2.6 repeating or 2 2/3 hours. Now, that doesn't answer the question.
Yes, it does.
The question is,
How long
will it be done in time?
Yes.
Yes, it
Why?
How do we know
Because
that?
There's only 2.6 hours.
The other starts
It's
at 12
9.
p.m. and then if it goes to 3, then
It's
Right. If it at 9 o'clock they tried, they lost power for 3 hours. So they're gonna start at noon, right? 3 hours later would be at noon. From noon, 2 2/3 hours puts you at what time?
1/3 of an hour left.
You have a third of an hour left. 2:40, right? PM. So your answer is yes. It'll be done
Well, our answer is also the number.
at
It's asking for the number and the time.
2:40. It's asking for what number?
How long will it take to compare?
Right. This one. 2 2/3 hours. Will it be done in time? Yes, it will be done at 2:40. 2 2/3 hours. Okay? Yes, turn them in.